or the question is, did Mr. Estrada resign? That has been settled by the Supreme Court. Decisions of the Supreme Court forms part of the law of the land, meaning once a Supreme Court decides, that is the law. And the Supreme Court said, Mr. Estrada resigned, and therefore, that is the law of the land. And ignorance of the decisions of the Supreme Court excuses no one, as said by the Supreme Court in the case of Calawag versus Comelec. In other words, we have to follow the decision of the Supreme Court. Now, what did the Supreme Court say to prove that Mr. Estrada resigned when he left Malacanang? The Supreme Court said his resignation cannot be doubted. I'm quoting from the Supreme Court. His resignation cannot be doubted. He called for a snap election and stressed that he would not be a candidate, an indication that he intended to give up the presidency even as early as January 19, 2001. He told Secretary Angara that pagod na ako, ayoko na. These are words of resignation, said the Supreme Court. He left Malacanang with his family and some cabinet members. He released his final statement where he acknowledged the oath-taking of GMA as President of the Philippines. He said he is leaving Malacanang for the sake of peace and in order to begin the healing process of our nation. He did not say that he was leaving Malacanang due to any kind of disability. He did not say that he was going to reassume the presidency as soon as the disability disappears. And he expressed his gratitude to the Filipino people and called his supporters to join him in the promotion of national reconciliation and solidarity. According to the Supreme Court, these are facts and proofs of his resignation. When you resign to a particular office, according also to the provisions of the Constitution, that is not considered as a renunciation, but that is considered as a full service for purposes of computing your term of office. And for that reason, because of the decision of the Supreme Court, which forms part of the law of the land, Mr. Estrada has been ruled upon to be not qualified to run again for the 2010 election because he voluntarily resigned, and that cannot be considered as an interruption of his service. Our Constitution has to be respected. As I said earlier, while this Constitution prohibits him from running again, he can run for Vice President. And the Constitution allows him to be the President, not by means of election, by means of succession. This Constitution we have to respect, because this is the Constitution that gives us the right to be assembled here today. This is the same Constitution that gives me the right to ring and echo my voice into this room and tell you that Mr. Estrada is not qualified, is not eligible to run for the 2010 presidential election. And with that, I'd like to thank the entire organization for this very fruitful debate, and all these are based on our research without any personal matters involved. Thank you very much and good day.
Hindi ko po alam kung tamang magtanong ng English construction sa mga abogado. Kung alisin po kaya yung any before the word re-election na nag-act bilang isang qualifier, may pinagtatalunan po kaya tayo kung pwedeng tumakbo o hindi si dating Pangulong Estrada?
Well, my answer to that is that qualifier, any, is actually irrelevant. Because as I was saying, the relevant term which has to be interpreted is the President. And so, since it applies only to the sitting President, the word any before a re-election is irrelevant insofar as our position is concerned. So, we don't have to quibble over any or even over re-election. The important term there to be construed is the President. And as I said, the Constitution uses the term 65 times. And in all of these 65 times, it always refers to the sitting president.
Yung any, I think it is relevant because the word any was used a modifier. Modify niya yung re-election. And what is the use of a modifier? To give more emphasis, diba? To be more emphatic on a particular requirement. To stress a fact, the requirement. Any re-election means anumang uri ng pagtakbong muli. When you say re-election, it means you want to run again for the same position. If you are a president and you run for senator, you are not running for re-election. You are only running for election as senator. But if you are a former president who wants to be president again and files your COC for the same position, you are running for re-election. I said prefix re means once again, once more. Yun ang ibig pong sabihin. So the use of the word any is very, very important. It stressed a particular requirement of the Constitution which could not be dispensed with on mere technicalities.